Hey guys, so back by popular demand, I'm going to keep reading Mr. Lemoncello's library. I was so worried you guys weren't listening to it, but you guys asked about it this week, and so therefore I am back to read and finish this book up. So when I last left off, Mr. Lemoncello offered an extreme challenge to Team Kyle. So Kyle, Akimi, Sierra, and Miguel. And what Kyle, Akimi, Sierra, and Miguel wanted were the library cards in the fishbowl. So every time a kid left, they had to put their library card in. And they think that those library cards have a really big clue. But in order to get them, they have to do an extreme challenge. So let's see what happens. Chapter 28. Now then, said Mr. Lemoncello, are you ready to play Risk Everything for 5 little library cards? Kyle swallowed hard and then he nodded. All right, you maniac McGees, here is your picture puzzle. The category is famous quotes. You have 60 seconds to solve this rebus. Wait a second, said Akimi. What is a rebus? You figure out words in a phrase by looking at pictures and symbols, said Kyle. For instance, added Miguel, the letters R and E plus a picture of a school bus would make the word rebus. Oh, okay, said Akimi, if you guys say so. Are you ready to play? Asked Mr. Lemoncello. Kyle looked at his teammates who nodded. Yes, sir. Then on your mark, get set, go dog, go. Mr. Lemoncello's image disappeared. Tick-tock clock music started playing. The video screens all projected the same picture. Now, if you wanted to, you could pause right here and see if you can figure these rebuses out. And I'm going to keep reading. Oh, we're officially dead, said Akimi. 55 seconds, said Mr. Lemoncello. Okay, we break it up 4 ways, said Kyle. The first and the third rows are similar. I'll do them. I'll do the last one, said Akimi. I'll take the second row, said Miguel. I'm 4, said Sierra. 50 seconds, said Mr. Lemoncello. Everyone went to work. Okay, mine is some guy hitting himself in the thumb with a GR and an O, muttered Akimi. Then the male symbol where the LE equals RX marks. Does that make sense? Hello, Kyle. In my second half, is it marks? Kyle didn't answer. He was too busy deciphering his own clue lines. Outlet. Change the let to side, he mumbled. Golf minus the G and the L and the letter A. 40 seconds! Dog. He dropped to the third line. He just needed the first word. Bowling pins without the P, but add an I'd. 30 seconds! Kyle glanced at Miguel. He was moving his lips, mouthing out his part of the quote. Sierra too. Are you guys ready? Kyle whispered. Hang on, said Miguel. 20 seconds! Okay, go. Kyle read the first line. Outside of a dog. Miguel picked up the thread. A book is man's best friend. Kyle continued. Inside of a dog. Sierra took over. It's too dark to read. Akimi brought them home. By Groucho Marx. Is that your final answer? Asked Mr. Lemoncello. Yes, said Kyle, and then he repeated the entire quote. Outside of a dog, a book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. By Groucho Marx. Bells rang. Chaser lights flashed. The audience went wild. Akimi and Sierra actually squealed and hugged each other. You are correct, shouted Mr. Lemoncello. There is no dead end in Norville, not today. Take those 5 library cards, Team Kyle. You won them fair and square. Charles and Andrew heard a commotion on the 3rd floor. Bells ringing, an audience whooping it up, girls squealing. Come on, said Charles. They raced up the stairs and peeked into the electronic learning center. Kyle Keeley and his teammates were all hugging each other and slapping high fives. On every video screen in the game room, Charles could see a pictogram puzzle. What's going on in there? Whispered Andrew. They might be gaining on us, Charles whispered back. We need to pick up the pace. Quick, where would you find a book called Who's Your Hospitality, written by Eve Healy Oresti? It's in the 900s room. Well, let's go. Charles and Andrew scurried back to the 2nd floor and the 900s room, where they found Haley Daly holding Who's Your Hospitality by Eve Haley Oresti. Oh, hello, you guys, she said, slamming her book shut. Charles moved toward her slowly. Find anything interesting in that book, Haley? Not really, she giggled. Just a bunch of junk about Indiana. Charles knew she was hiding something. I wonder, Haley, if you and I might share a quiet word? He turned to Andrew. In private? Does that mean I'm supposed to leave? Yes, Andrew, but it's for good of the team. Trust me. Okay, but I'll be right outside that door if you decide to double-cross me or something. Thank you, Andrew. This will only take a quick minute. Peckelman left the room. Smiling, Charles moved even closer to Haley. So close he could smell her bubble gum or her shampoo, maybe both. Let's dope over here, he said, taking Haley by the elbow. I found another fascinating book that I think you'll just love. He guided her to a spot behind a bookcase where their conversation couldn't be observed by the security camera blinking up in the ceiling. Haley went with Charles. If he had been looking for the same book that she had just found, that meant he was playing the library escape game along a similar path. Charles Chiltington might have clues Haley could use. Clues she needed. Rumor has it, whispered Charles, that your parents wrote your library essay for you. Inside, Haley was grinning. Obviously, Charles would try to bully her into joining his team. Fine, she would pretend to be frightened. What, she whispered back, pretending to be terrified. That's a lie. My dad just helped me with some of the spelling. Aha, so you admitted all the spelling in your essay wasn't your own. Okay, this was going to take more acting skill than usual. Having somebody check your spelling wasn't against anybody's rules for anything. She widened her eyes and made her lips quiver. What do you want, Charles? For you to join my team. Why should I do that? 2 reasons. 1, if you're on my side, your flagrant plagiarism remains our dirty little secret. 2, I know what to do with that silhouette card you just found in the Hoosier Hospitality book. You do? Oh, yes. If we share our clues, the pictures will create a phrase telling us how to find an alternate exit. Haley smiled. For real. This was working out perfectly. She'd get all the clues, and even if they all went together, Mr. Lemoncello would definitely make her the real star of his TV commercials. She had zazz. Charles and Andrew did not. Okay, she said, deal, I'm on your team. Then she handed Charles the clue she had found in the Hoosier book. Of course, said Charles. After all, Indiana is the Hoosier state. And this is just a silhouette of the state of Indiana. That's what it looks like. Chapter 29. Oh man, said Kyle, leading his team around the balcony back to the young adult room. 9 library cards. This is fantastic. They gathered around a table. Okay, guys, time for everybody to put their cards on the table. Literally. The teammates set down their cards. Kyle spread out the 5 cards from the discarded bowl. Akimi pulled out a pad and wrote all the information on a master list. Books and authors on the backs of library cards. Number 1, Miguel Fernandez. Incident at Hawks Hill by Ellen W. Eckert. And No David by David Shannon. You guys know that book. Number 2 was Akimi Hughes. One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss. And 9 Stories by J.G. Salinger. Number 3 was an unknown card. Number 4, Bridget Wadge, Tales of a 4th Grade Nothing by Judy Blume. And Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Oh, I like her card. Number 5, Sierra Russell, The Egypt Game by Zilpha Keatley Snyder, and The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. 2 really good books, too. Number 6, Yasmin Smith Snyder, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, and The Yak Who Yelled Yuck by Carol Pugliano Martin. Number 7, Sean Keegan, Olivia by Ian Falconer, and Unreal by Paul Jennings. Number 8 was another unknown card. Number 9, Rose Vermette, All of a Kind Family by Sydney Taylor, and Scat by Carl Hyacinth. Number 10, by Kayla Corson's card, Anna to the Infinite Power by Mildred Ames, and Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. Number 11 was another unknown. Number 12, Kyle Keeley, I Love You Stinky Face by Lisa McCourt, and The Napping House by Audrey Wood. Wow, said Sierra, that's a lot of good books. But what do all those authors and titles mean? It means that we need Charles, Andrew, and Haley's cards, said Kyle. Really, said Akimi, because if you ask me, we already have way too much information. Well, said Kyle, maybe later we'll find a clue that'll tell us how to read this clue. And how are we going to do that? Asked Miguel. Have you ever played this? Kyle pointed to the Bibliomania box. Nope, always wanted to. Well, we were just about to set up the game. Does this have anything to do with finding our way out of the library? We sure hope so, said Akimi. All right, awesome. By the way, Kyle said to Miguel, what did you find in the arts and artifacts room? Yes, said Akimi, all those papers you kept trying to hide from us. Miguel grinned. It was the original blueprints for the Gold Leaf Bank building. Clever, said Kyle. The way you could look for old exits that might still exist behind new walls. Exactly. Did you find any extra exits? Asked Akimi. Nope. No hidden windows either. Yeah, what is up with that? How come they built this place with so few windows? Probably to discourage bank robbers, I guess, said Kyle. Yep, said Miguel. The only way in was through the front door. The fire exits could only be opened from the inside, like at a movie theater. The vault itself was all the way down in the basement. Mr. Lemoncello kept all that security, said Kyle, and then added some of his own. So it would seem. Well, hopefully Bibliomania will lead us to some kind of alternate exit. And fast, said Akimi. Don't forget, we're not the only ones playing this game. One of those other guys is probably halfway out the door already. Okay, said Kyle. Gameplay is pretty simple. You spin the spinner and advance your piece the number of spaces that the needle points to. You move around the library and go into each of the 10 Dewey Decimal rooms where you can pick up a book by answering a clue card. If you guess wrong, you get a new clue card in the same room on your next turn. The first person to fill in 10 slots in their bookshelf and spin their way out of the library wins. It's sort of like Trivia Pursuit, said Sierra, and the questions aren't all that hard because they're mostly multiple choice. All right, let's hear one, said Miguel eagerly. The cards were separated into 10 multicolored miniature stacks, one for each room. Kyle grabbed a green card. Okay, this one is from the 800s room, literature. Deathly ill and pursued by the ring wraiths, Frodo Baggins was carried safely across the River Brunnen on the gleaming white elf horse of Glorfindel named A. Asphodel, B. Asphaloth, C. Elmerian, D. Anglichel. Akimi shook her head like she was having a brain freeze. What, huh? I think the answer might be B, said Miguel. They're all A, said Kyle. Asphodel, Asphaloth, The answer is B. Asphaloth, said Sierra. It's from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Kyle flipped the card and read the answer. You are correct. You get a copy of Lord of the Rings to put in your bookshelf. So Kyle, said Akimi, how exactly is knowing the name of an elf horse going to help us get out of this library? Maybe it's like a secret code, suggested Miguel, and the 10 book titles will form a sentence telling us how to get out. Possibly, said Kyle, but I see one problem. And what's that? Well, this game is just too random. Mr. Lemoncello would have no idea which 10 cards that we might pick. Well, said Sierra, maybe there are only 10 questions, one for each room. Kimi grabbed the card stacks and fanned them out. Nope, they're all different. Hang on, said Kyle. He had remembered something about another game, Mr. Lemoncello's indoor-outdoor scavenger hunt. How his mother had been able to write the company and request a fresh set of cards. He turned on the video camera mounted in a corner. I'd like my video consultation, please. My librarian consultation, please. What's up, Kyle asked Miguel. I'm playing a hunch. The holographic Mrs. Tobin appeared behind the young adult's librarian desk. How may I help you, Kyle? My friends and I want to play Bibliomania, but we were wondering, is there a new set of cards? Yes, Kyle, there is. And a fresh deck of cards popped up through a slot in the desk. Okay, last chapter for today, chapter 30. We'll just play one bookshelf, said Kyle. Because we're a team now, right, bro? Said Miguel. Right, plus we don't have all day. Well, said Akimi, technically we do. In fact, we have the rest of today and tomorrow till noon. We've got like 19 hours left, said Miguel. But Charles and the others, said Sierra, they could beat us. Right, said Kyle. After all, he is at Chiltington, and according to Sir Charles, they never lose. Miguel, you're the newest member of the team. You spin first. Miguel rubbed his hands together, limbered up his fingers, practiced flicking his index finger off of his thumb, making sure that he would have a good snap and follow through. Oh, would you hurry up and spin before my brain explodes, said Akimi. No problem. Miguel flicked the plastic pointer. It whirled around the cardboard square decorated with a sunburst of 10 colorful triangles. Booyah! The triple zeros, general knowledge. Oh yeah, that's not so great, said Kyle. How come? 'Cause you get to move 0 spaces? Aw, bummer. Akimi shot up her hand. Yes, said Kyle. Do we really have to spin and count spaces and all that junk? We have a deadline. Clocks everywhere are ticking against us. Maybe we can just pull a pink card, suggested Sierra. It's not really how you play the game, said Kyle. We're not really playing this game, Kyle, said Akimi. We're playing the other one, the big game with the big ginormous prize. I gotta agree with Akimi, said Miguel. Fine, said Kyle. It's against the rules, but pull a pink card. Are you sure, bro? Just pull a pink card? Miguel quickly sorted the new deck of 10 stacks of different colors. He pulled a pink from the top of its pile. These are different from the regular cards. He turned it over and showed it to the group. 0 plus 27 plus 4/10. Easy peasy, said Akimi. The answer is 27.4 because the zeros don't change the sum. Not in math, said Miguel, but this isn't math. This is the Dewey Decimal System, and there's always 3 numbers to the left of the decimal point. We need to find a book with a call number 027.4. Fine, said Akimi, but I guarantee you it isn't a math book. The team made their way around the balcony, circling the Dewey Decimal doors. Here we go, said Miguel. He slid his library card into a door labeled 000. Okay, said Miguel, if we're gonna find it in here, we're gonna find general knowledge. It will have almanacs, encyclopedias, bibliographies, books about library science. It's a science, said Akimi. Where do they keep the chemicals? In the library paste, joked Sierra, who was loosening up a bit. She hadn't read 1 page of her book in hours. Found it, said Miguel, reaching up to pull a book off the shelf. 027.4. Man, it's old. Look at how yellow the pages are. So what is the antiques title? Asked Akimi. Getting to Know Your Local Library by Amy Alessio and Aaron Downey. Miguel held the book so everybody could see the cover. It was illustrated with a cartoony-looking detective in a checkered hat who was holding up a magnifying glass to examine books on the shelves. Looks like a librarian's guide for kids, said Miguel, opening the cover to read one of the inside pages. First publication was way back in 1952. He flipped through a few of the pages. It explains the Dewey Decimal System, contains a glossary of terms, a brief history of library. Finally, he reached the back of the book. Awesome. What? Asked Kyle and the others as they moved closer to see what Miguel had found. This is an old-fashioned book slip from the Alexandriaville Public Library. The one they tore down? Yeah. And this card was tucked into a sleeve glued to the back cover. It comes from the olden days when they used to stamp the date that the book was due on a grid, and you would have to fill out your name under issue to. And look who checked out this book on May 26, 1964. Kyle and the others looked. Luigi Lemoncello. Just a little bit more for today. Down on the first floor, Charles used his library card to open the door to Community Meeting Room A. And who is to have access to this room? cooed the soothing voice from the ceiling. Me and my teammates, said Charles, Andrew Peckelman and Haley Daly. Thank you. Please have Andrew Peckelman and Haley Daly swipe their cards through the reader now. Both of them did. Thank you. Your entrance to Community Meeting Room A will be limited to those approved by the host, Charles Chiltington. Have a good meeting. Charles and his team entered the sleek, ultra-modern white-on-white conference room. There were 12 comfy chairs set up around a glass-top table and a cabinet filled with top-of-the-line audiovisual equipment. You can write on the wall, said Andrew. They're like the smart boards at school. Excellent, said Charles, clasping his hands behind his back and pacing the room. Now, when we find all 12 pictograms and lay them out according to their position in the staff picks display case, they will create a rebus for a phrase that I am quite certain will tell us exactly how to exit this library without triggering any alarms. Therefore, it is time for us to lay all our cards on the table. Haley nodded and pulled out 2 more silhouettes out of the back pocket of her jeans. I found one of these in a cookbook, she said. The other was in the juvenile fiction Nancy drew, The Mystery at Lilac Inn. There are blank notes in this drawer, announced Andrew. We should use them as placeholders for the books that we still need to find. They lay out a 3x4 grid of cards on the tabletop. What does it mean? Asked Andrew. Simple, said Charles. It means we need to find the other 6 books. And we'll find out what happens tomorrow.